What's up, players? So it's Monday, April 3rd, and today's topic of discussion is actually a follow up to Nick's question on my last video, which was basically what happened after the Chicagoland video I posted. So I had done a video right before the race, kind of talking about what my goals were, and then nothing afterwards. So, race report is in order. Um, Basically, long story short, it was a terrible race. It was the worst race I've ever had, to the point that I dropped and didn't finish a race for the first time ever. So, but how did we get there? That's the important part. So, take it back. The first thing to look at is training. And after I had some time and was able to kind of digest the failure, that's what you need to do is take a look back at what happened and how can you do it better. The next week I ended up actually running and finishing a marathon, but it didn't go a whole lot better. I finished just under 4 hours, I want to say. Good portion of the second half of the race, and even earlier probably was run walking. Obviously, with my goal being to qualify for Boston, that wasn't even close. So had to figure out what went wrong. So looking at training, now in hindsight, it's pretty easy to figure out why the wheels came off. So when I look at what I did leading up to it, the first thing that went wrong was not enough mileage. I was peaking at probably 40 miles a week, maybe getting to like 45. I would guess that was probably the top that I ever got to. And I was doing some interval work and speed work, not a ton, but most importantly, not enough miles and not enough quality miles on long runs. So basically, according to the training plan I was following, all of my long runs were supposed to be done in zone 2 heart rate, which is basically a conversational pace. Well, I mean, if you think about that, then you're training yourself to run a long race at a conversational pace. You're not training yourself to be pushing the pace that hard. So, how do you expect to be able to perform on race day at a higher pace if you've never run at that pace during training? So, or at least not during long runs. So, that was the biggest issue looking back at that. So, that was something I was going to have to do differently. And I have been doing it differently this time, training for the race in May. We'll see what the end result is. I mean, a marathon has a lot of things that factor into it: weather, nutrition, are you sick, did you taper well? So it's not any one thing, but looking at that was a pretty easy thing for me to change. The other thing I was able to do is go back and look at my actual race performance and see if I did anything wrong there, and the answer was yes. I also did something wrong during the race. So what I did wrong, obviously, is I took it out way too fast. So at both races, I was taking them out in like a 6:40 pace, which that's fine for some people, but not for me. Especially when you consider that right now my PR is like a 3:16, which is like a 7:30 pace. I shouldn't be trying to take out the first 5 miles of a race at a minute per mile faster than that. That's just not smart race strategy. So plenty to learn from and plenty to do better. Now, I'll tell you right now, rabbiting out is one of the biggest problems I have. I always struggle to hold back in the first few miles of any race. So that's going to be critical to me having any kind of success in May. Now, I'm not going for Boston qualifying time in May. I'm just trying to get back on the horse of like running a marathon instead of flying out early and dying and trying to just finish the race. So that's really what my goal is right now, and then I'll worry about the other stuff when I can get that right. So at any rate, that's the summary of the races this fall. Any questions, drop me a comment. Deuces.